Hey there, welcome to the beginner's guide for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. We're going to talk about all the things you guys are really interested in, like his level 7 super that just insta-kills the other person. We're going to talk about offense, mix-up, neutral a little bit, but we're not going to focus on combos too much. We're going to talk about how to confirm into combos and maybe one or two basic ones that you need to know. But I don't want to focus on optimizing in this video. I want to focus on what are his tools, when should you use them, how do you get the hit that will lead to your big damage, and how do you convert it into that big damage. Not necessarily the combo itself, just how to get it started. And before we do any of the super fun stuff like mix-up, pressure, level 7 super, let's talk about his neutral first really quick. His neutral is actually surprisingly very simple, so it's not going to take us too long to get into. If I had to explain his neutral as quickly as possible to someone who has no idea what he does, depending on what kind of player you are, he's going to play either like he's hit, but maybe a little bit better neutral, or he's going to play like Adult Gohan, but a little bit different. So what do I mean by he plays kind of like hit? Actually similar to him and Adult Gohan, he just has really, really good buttons. His buttons might be a little better than Adult Gohan's actually, which is really saying something because Adult Gohan's are amazing. The stand medium is ridiculous. It goes super far. Crouch medium goes really far, is decent speed for how far it is as well. The farther away it is, it's slower, which actually means it's very active. So we can get it to hit at around 15 or 16 frames startup if we're really far away, but it's 11 frames up close, which means that if someone's jumping around, we can maybe catch them as they're landing with this move, which is really nice. Same with his stand medium, and his forward heavy is also really good for this too. His air normals are also quite good. His JM goes pretty far, similar to Adult Gohan, and he's really good at converting these like air block strings into pressure all on his own, and then when he's actually plus and in your face, he's really, really good. His jump light is surprisingly good as well. It's also able to pretty easily snipe super dash, although you don't really need to do this since he does have a counter with his quarter circle back ki blast. And this actually does give him a combo and a sliding knockdown, which is really, really good for this kind of thing. Most characters that have counters don't really convert it consistently on their own. Hit does, but his is situational. So when I say he can play a lot like Hit, I really do mean like he can react to a lot of stuff, and he has really good ground control and decent air-to-airs. So I think someone like Goichi might really like this character because he can always punish super dash, he can react to things like assists. In Hit's case, his counter would just teleport. In Gogeta's case, it doesn't if it makes contact with a projectile. If it makes contact with a normal though, then it always punishes, always gives a combo. And unlike Jiren's, you cannot ever vanish to save yourself. Once it catches a physical attack, it lights out, you know. Really can't save yourself if you make contact with this counter, which is really, really good. So we're talking about the good things he has with his neutral before we go on. Let's talk about his biggest downside first, is that he doesn't really have projectiles. The only projectile he has is Ki Blast, which you see this is the range of it. If you get within this range, it always tracks to the opponent. So if I'm in the air above him, it'll go to where he is. If he ends up in the air above me, as long as he's in that range, he ends up blocking it. And this is actually really good because it's only -1 on air block, and this stand medium is amazing. It's super fast, it's 9 frames startup, it goes really far. At this range, no one's going to challenge you, or most characters aren't going to be able to challenge you. And of course, you could also just cancel it into a heavy and get your turn started or something like that, and then have a good time. But still, the point stands, he doesn't have good projectiles. He doesn't have like far projectiles. He doesn't have spammable ki blasts. He doesn't have a beam. He doesn't have anything like that. So that's another reason he feels like he plays very similarly to Hit. That's basically why I say he plays similarly to Hit, just because he plays around his buttons and he plays around reacting to situations. Also, another nice small thing about his counter before we move on, it always builds a meter when he absorbs something. So even just absorbing a projectile builds him a quarter of a bar, which is pretty similar to something like Android 18's barrier, but instead of it being a barrier, it's straight up a counter. So if the other person makes contact with you, then you just get a hit. But if they try to like run in like this, they actually can get punished if they make contact with you. So you can actually get punished even if you absorb a projectile, if the person times their physical attack properly at the end. Similar to with like Android 18, you can save yourself though by just using an assist with this. So you can actually do some pretty degenerate stuff by just air dashing on someone and countering and calling your assist and then taking your turn. And since he has multiple air dashes, you can even kind of cheese someone out with an air dash afterwards. So I guess all this to say that once you get into his range, where his ki blast can make contact, where counter becomes valuable maybe with an assist, where his lariats, which by the way, these go through projectiles, can reach, he's really, really good. And these are all safe on block too. Pretty much all these tools are pretty much safe. Stand medium is safe. Ki Blast isn't safe, but the pushback is far enough where really no one's going to punish you except for maybe Vegito, and you always have cancel options. And his auto combo is really good, so he's kind of got the Team Gohan auto combo going on. Second hit goes really far, the third hit is really high and actually upper body invincible. Your game plan is pretty much just to get into their range, and you kind of want to rock, paper, scissors between whether you challenge them, whether you maybe use your projectile, or maybe whether you counter and use an assist. I don't want to get caught up on neutral too much because I think that's kind of the more boring aspect of this, but I do really want to emphasize that since he doesn't have projectiles, getting into that range is going to be difficult in some matchups. So we'll have to see how it really pans out over time. Even his anti-projectile tools aren't full screen, so you're not going to beat Broly spamming Ki Blast by doing this. You're going to have to still move into his range and then do it. Moving on to his reversal really quick. His reversal is pretty good. So it's just a down-down input. And the reason a down-down input is really strong is just because you don't have to worry about whether someone is attacking you on the left or the right. You just have to hit down-down. So there's a lot of left-right mix-up in the game where if you can get over to the other side of the opponent, now their input is reversed, and now their Dragon Punch input might no longer be the reversal that they're trying to do. It might be something else. You don't have to worry about that as a defending player here if you have a down-down input because it's just down-down. You know, for the last half a year, Ultra Instinct Goku's been doing this to get out of situations, so he kind of has this too, and he gets a Dragon Ball every time he does it. I don't really care about the Dragon Ball that much. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but once in a while it's definitely going to come into play. It might come into play for your opponent though, so keep that in mind. Whoever has more meter is going to be able to take advantage of that. By the way, Apology Man already posted a 7 Dragon Ball combo where he builds 7 Dragon Balls in the combo and then summons Shenron on the next hit. He actually just started a YouTube channel, so I would really appreciate it if you guys checked him out. He's done me a lot of favors by helping me out on this channel over the last year and a half, so definitely give him a look. Go over there, subscribe, and tell him I sent you. Also, while I'm on that topic, just a couple weeks ago, I created a second channel. It's going to be filled with quick tips and funny clips, so if that interests you at all, head over there and subscribe for more. It's mostly going to be just a lot of quick tips, but there will be some just goofy moments thrown in there too. Oh, I said we're moving on from neutral, but one last thing. His anti-air is really, really good. It hits super high up, and he has really good cancel options because he's on the ground. A lot of other characters, they don't have all their cancel options available. Because their anti-airs put them in the air, they, on block, won't have all their cancel options available. So like Android 21 isn't going to be able to command grab you in this situation, but Gogeta is going to be able to actually trip you up with this after you block his anti-air. Or of course, obviously, he could just frame trap with a special attack and call it an assist and get his turn started, go for left-right mix-up, all that kind of stuff. And his left-right mix-up is really good. So it's not just that his anti-air is far and really high. He can just kind of run under you and do this and actually get his turn started in a much better way than a lot of other characters can. All right, before we actually talk about his offense or his mix-up or his pressure, let's just cover some of his unique tools and a couple maybe misconceptions people have about those tools. So the really big one, like the big one, even bigger than level 7 super, is he has 2 air dashes. So he can air dash back and then forward, he can air dash forward and forward, he can air dash forward and then back again. And this opens up so much stuff. He's basically Golden Frieza all the time, but with some different restrictions. He doesn't have like reverse beat into previous moves like Golden Frieza does. So he's like half of Golden Frieza. Golden Frieza could do a whole block string and then still end with jab and go for Dragon Rush. He can't do that, but besides for stuff like that, he's pretty much Golden Frieza, which is really, really cool. One misconception people have about this is that he can't triple jump. Right? He doesn't get 2 jumps, he just gets 2 air dashes. And on block or hit, he can't cancel an air dash into another air dash. I can't do this twice in a row. The other rules of the game still apply. So if you want to do a mix-up like this where you air dash cancel your jump in, what you have to do is you have to jump, cancel it, and then you cancel your jump into an air dash. Which means this isn't possible if you started with an air dash, because you can't do air dash, jump, and then air dash again. You can do jump into air dash, and that'll be fine. So safe jumps are going to actually lead to some really interesting stuff with him, as we'll kind of go on later on. If you know what I'm talking about when I say this, you'll know why this is a big deal. He actually gets a universal fuzzy from this, which is really, really good. This is a true block string into a really fast instant overhead. Even though he doesn't have a crouch light to back this up, this is still going to be a really good mix-up, and we'll talk about why later on. But in general, the rule is your second air action has to be your air dash. You can't air dash and then double jump, it won't let you do it. But you can double jump and then air dash, or you can air dash and then air dash. So again, the second air action has to be an air dash. All right, and we're gonna talk about the level up super towards the end of the video, but we are gonna cover it really quickly here. His forward ki blast levels up. It's really quick, and in fact, it's actually not that bad on block. Depending on what move you cancel into it, it's gonna be more or less safe. It's never safe to cancel into this without an assist, by the way. It's at best -11, and since this is a pretty long animation, people are actually gonna be able to react to this and hit you, or at the very least react to this in time to get their turn started, even if they don't quite get the punish. So don't just mindlessly use it, but it's not like unusable at the same time. If he gets to level 7, then he is gonna have access to his alternate level 3. And that's the other misconception I want to really quickly talk about. So if you go into character settings, you can just set this to level 7 all the time, so you don't have to waste your time leveling it up every time you want to practice it. So he has 2 level 3s. Quarter circle back, light plus medium is a normal one, normal big bang. It still drains your levels if you use it, by the way. If you use any of his supers, it drains his levels back to level 0, which means now, if I go to level up now, I'm at level 1 again, I'm at level 2 again, level 3. So you still have to be really careful about what you do with him and how you end your combos. Personally, I don't think the level 7 super is nearly as big of a deal as people are making it out to be, and this is kind of one of the reasons. It's not that it isn't really strong, it is definitely very strong. It's just that it's not the reason he's a good character, in my opinion. And it's not going to come up every single match. It's kind of like Ginyu's body swap, where there are a lot of times where you can do it, but why would you do it when you could just kill them without doing it? And if you are at a point in a match where you've gotten to level 7, you've probably already hurt the opponent a little bit. You can probably kill them without doing that, and you can probably build more meter as a result. I don't want to go on a tangent about level 7 too much right now. We'll cover it more later on in the video. The thing I wanted to clear up right now is how his level 7 super, which is confusing because it costs 3 bars. So it's a level 3, but it's when he is a level 7 Gogeta. The alternate level 3 is the one you do with this. So it's heavy plus ki blast with quarter circle back. And this means this isn't the super you're going to get when you DHC into him. If you're playing a different character and you have Gogeta at level 7 and you swap into his super, this is not the version that's going to kill. You get the regular version, and you're taking away all your levels. So now you're back at level 1 if you do this. So swapping back to Gogeta is very difficult to do in a really proper way like you would with other characters while still maintaining your levels. You're going to have to do stuff like swap to him this way before you can do level 7. And you have to have a combo available that lets you do it because his level 7 is actually slower of the 2 supers. You can't just do it as quickly as you could the other one. 28 frame startup there. Regular level 3 is noticeably quicker, 12 frame startup. Okay, so let's talk about his mix-up really quick. Because he has such really strong pressure, which we'll talk about soon, and he has this double air dash, he has really, really good mix-up. But I don't want to trick you into thinking that he just has built-in 50-50s, because I don't really think that's the case. A lot of other characters, like maybe Base Vegeta or Kid Buu, will literally make you block and make you have to flip a coin between high or low. Gogeta doesn't quite have that, but what he does have is really strong pressure, with really good reward, with lots of reflect-proof block strings, lots of opportunities to frame trap you. All of this to make you want to not take risks. And then when he gets you at a point where you don't want to take risks anymore, he has a really good cross-up, and he can go back to the original side for a fake out, or he could just stay same side, look like he's going to air dash over you, and do ki blast. Having a really strong same side option to bait out left-right defensive options is really, really good. This is one of the reasons that Vegito is actually able to open you up, even though people don't consider Vegito a really good mix-up character. And his left-right mix-up is generally just really rewarding, and it's not too hard to get these combos. This isn't quite universal. It doesn't seem to work on Krillin, but I've gotten it to work on like literally every other character I've tested. There might be a few more it doesn't work on. And the same side option is also very rewarding. Pretty much the same combo. It's pretty much unheard of for characters to get this much consistent damage from a same side option on a left-right mix-up. And another good thing about the same side option here, if you use his air ki blast, is that it will bait out anti-airs. Because usually an anti-air will beat both the left and the right options. If you try to cross them up, then the anti-air just smacks you. If you go same side with the super dash, the anti-air smacks you. But in his case, he can go same side with ki blast and actually beat the anti-air, which is really, really nice. Some characters have things like this, like Super Saiyan Goku, Vegito, just a couple examples. The thing that's good here is just how easy this is to do and how rewarding it is. You know, actually, as I'm labbing this right now, this seems pretty hard to get consistently on 21, but it does still work. So some characters are going to be easier or harder than others for that combo, but in general, it's not that hard. All right, so that's the basic left-right mix, but as people respect you more, you can, you know, really go ham with like a double cross-up or something like that. Now, how do you get people to actually stay still long enough for you to do that? We're going to have to actually frame trap them. We're going to have to stagger pressure them. Let's talk about all the different ways he can structure his pressure to discourage those kinds of things. First of all, his frame traps are generally just really good. He has a lot of spots where he can frame trap. Look how long this block string can go. We can do auto combo. We can then cancel into medium, crouch medium. We have forward heavy, which has rekka cancel options. We'll talk about those later. So forward heavy into overhead, key blast, a 5H, then a lariat. You can do all that in a row. That's a lot of opportunities to frame trap the opponent. And almost all of these moves are safe on block. So medium's only -5. All of his lights are -3. Auto combo is only -4. Crouch medium is one of the only ones that isn't safe, -9. Key blast is -7. 5H is going to be -11, and lariat is -4. So the farther on the block string goes, the more unsafe he becomes. But he still has so many cancel options that it's really not that big of a deal. In fact, things like key blast being -7 isn't that big of a deal because most characters don't have a 6 frame that reaches this far, right? Or a 7 frame that reaches this far. Like, this is still really safe. Like, this is just too far away for the opponent to actually challenge you unless they're like Vegito or something. So very few characters are going to actually get a punish on this. And then you can kind of just take your turn again if they don't pick the right move to challenge you with, and you'll get pretty good reward for it too. By the way, I don't know what's optimal with him. I'm not going to worry about that too much. That's already like plenty good damage though. All right, so we've kind of established that these are all good frame trap points. What about reflect proof options? So we have the opponent set to reflect as soon as there's a gap in our block string. And as you can see, pretty much all this is reflect proof. So button into crouch medium is reflect proof. You can even make auto combo reflect proof. This is pretty universal for a lot of characters. Not everyone does have this, but a lot of characters do have this. You just do 2L, 5L, and then finish the auto combo. Crouch light, stand light, auto combo. And this will be reflect proof. Kid Buu has this, Nappa has this, I think Super Baby has this, a lot of characters have this. And then you also have more reflect proof options after that. So pretty much as long as you cancel into either his crouch medium, his auto combo, his stand heavy, or his lariat, all those options are going to be reflect proof pretty much all the time. So pretty much by himself, he can cover mashing and maybe jumping while being safe to reflect and probably blowing people up who are reflecting and mashing buttons afterwards. If he baits out a reflect, he's just going to kill you because he just does a lot of damage. And I know basic pressure isn't like the fun part of characters to a lot of people, but it's really important with him because he doesn't just have that true block string 50-50 into high-low like some of the top tiers do. So you're gonna have to get used to playing like proper Dragon Ball where you are frame trapping a lot and you are going for the universal stuff. And all the universal stuff is good with him because he has other tools to focus on. So let's talk about some of his unique mix-up options. Obviously, he has a command grab. We've talked about this before. It's pretty slow, so don't make this the focus of your pressure. It's just one extra thing for them to look for that makes everything much more difficult. If you put this at a time where you could have Dragon Rushed, or you could have stopped what you're doing and go for a cross-up, or a 6M, or whatever, this is going to be more likely to hit when there's more options available. So another situation like that is going to be after you use his 6 heavy, his forward heavy. So this move opens up 2 moves that can only be done after this move. If you hit 6 heavy again, you get an overhead pretty quick. And if you hit down forward heavy afterwards, you get this sweep. The sweep is noticeably slower than the overhead. Personally, I don't think this is going to open people up too often if this is the only thing you focus on. If you do this just once in a while, it's going to work out pretty well. If you use it as a pressure tool, it's going to work out pretty well because this does actually frame trap. And you can get a pretty good combo with it. It's not like amazing damage, but it does confirm really well and builds you good meter, gives you a slide knockdown. If you want to defend against this, the idea is pretty much just that when you see this move, stand up and then block low, because the overhead is pretty quick and the low is pretty slow. So you just, it's an option select, right? You just option select block it, you stand up really quickly, after a second block low, and you'll accidentally block both of them that way. Very consistently. No need to react to this kind of thing. But you get people focused on that, and then you go for the command grab here, and it's more likely to hit. What about when he actually has assists available? Let's talk about that. So left-right mix-up with him is actually really, really good. Like, use your special, call your assist, and then air dash for a cross-up, or you'll use your special, call your assist, and then you can air dash, but stay same side with a key blast really quick. And this is really, really good. This sort of thing is really, really strong. So let's set the opponent to guard only first, right? And depending on your assist, you should be able to make this a frame trap. The goal is going to be to have the cross-up frame trap overhead, or for same side key blast to connect. And both of these, assuming you pick them up properly, are going to be really rewarding options. I'm not really sure why key blast scales this well. It scales really, really well. It can be a little bit difficult to get the double cross-up to actually consistently connect when you're using an assist, because the assist is going to push them back as well. You'll kind of see here, if I go for this, it's kind of hard to hit. Like, look how far away I ended up. Because of that extra distance, they got pushed back. It's still possible, it's just like way harder. So if you have an assist that doesn't push them back as far, this is still really good. If you don't, then honestly just the normal like cross up, or of course mix in other options like Dragon Rush or Command Grab. I think his strength is basically his left-right mix-up. So in the corner, his mix-up is still going to be a little bit weaker, and I was trying to figure out a way to make his high-low mix-up scarier in the corner. Since he doesn't have a low 2L, this is actually a mid. It's 6 frames, which is really, really nice, and it goes really far for how for what it looks like, which is really, really nice. But since he doesn't have a fast low, fastest is 11 frames, still like decent, but you know, it's not a low 2L. This is the same speed as Gogeta's Crouch Light, by the way, the other Gogeta's Crouch Light, and it's going to be more rewarding. And I think one of the solutions I came up with, people might find some other options for this later, is you just want them to block a jump medium without you having used an air dash already. Because if you can get them to block a jump medium, you can air dash cancel it for more overheads, right? And this into low, or this into a really fast instant air dash is really, really strong. By the way, this is all true block string if you do this fast enough from jump medium into air dash LL. What that means is that this is technically a fuzzy, where they're locked into standing block stun, so they actually can't crouch. Even if they're trying to block low, their hurt box is standing, so you can get this jump L to hit really, really quick. And I just don't know if this is consistently reactable. It is probably reactable, but it's going to be harder than if someone just did it on the ground. Because when you react to an instant air dash on the ground, what you're seeing, what you're used to seeing, like look at Gogeta here on the left here, right? What you're used to seeing when they air dash is their feet are no longer on the ground. There's 2 ways to approach it. You can look at them doing something in the air, or you can look for the absence of feet, if that makes sense. So when someone air dashes on you and goes for a high-low mix-up that way, you can pretty quickly react to it just by seeing that they're no longer touching the ground. But with this mix-up, they were never touching the ground to begin with. So it makes it probably a little harder to react to. It could still be reactable, but this is very, very strong. I was trying to defend against this with a bot just doing this into low, occasionally Dragon Rush, or this into the universal fuzzy, I suppose, IDLL. It's just really, really hard to defend against. But there is a problem with this. First of all, it might not work this way against really small characters. So really small characters, this might not work. And there's an even bigger problem. You can't do this after doing an instant air dash, because you've already used up your air dash. You can no longer double jump, and we need to double jump into an air dash to make this work, right? We're doing jump air dash off the jump medium. And it just literally won't let us do that if we've already used our air dash. So how do we get to that point in a regular block string where we get them to block a jump medium so that we can air dash cancel or go low or Dragon Rush or whatever, right? And the solution I came up with was literally just to super dash and call my assist and then make them block the JM on the way down. And from here, we can do the universal fuzzy. Or from here, we can just go low. And I swear, I set this up in training mode and I tried blocking this consistently. I could not block this consistently. It's very good. And of course, you could just occasionally just go straight for Dragon Rush. You could just go straight for double overhead this way. You don't have to like do the falling M at all. I think that's going to be decently strong in addition to just having really strong pressure. Okay, so there's one tool I haven't really talked about yet, which is his EX flip. This move is really, really good. It's his quarter circle back, And the EX version is basically, it's basically Adult Gohan's EX legs, except instead of getting a ton of damage if it hits you, it's just always super easy to convert into being plus, and it's really, really easy to use. I guess, realistically, if you think of it like Adult Gohan's EX legs, it's really, really good. Although he doesn't have to play that rock, paper, scissors game afterwards of are they going to anti-air, are they going to backdash, are they going to reflect? Because he's just +2 on the ground, and as we established before, he has really good reflect-proof string. So if we set the opponent to reflect here after blocking this, then we still are going to keep our turn really consistently. With multiple different strings too, we could do that instead. And of course, if we go for a cross-up, we'll whiff punish the reflect. If we go for a dragon rush, we'll just beat the reflect. A lot of good options off this. And this move is generally just kind of a degenerate move. It tracks really, really well. Because of the way this character works, we could do stuff like double air dash back into this, or we could super dash on someone, backdash away from them, and then do this to get back in. It's really hard to chase backdash after a block super dash. In fact, all of his options after a block super dash are generally really good. Like, let's set the opponent to anti-air. Okay. We're gonna go through just a handful of really common options that'll happen. So the first is that someone might anti-air you afterwards, right? So if I try to follow the button, I'll get smacked. But we can make this whiff by just backdashing away. And he has multiple good options after backdashing away. He can air dash back in and get a punish, because he has 2 air actions, right? He can backdash and then forward dash. Or you can just backdash and use his Ki Blast, which will track down to where they are as long as you're still close enough. And this sort of thing is really nice because this will actually punish mashing with like something really fast, like a light. And then you can convert this into a combo. You still have an air dash available. Even if they use an option that's like a little lower recovery than a crouch heavy, like a jab, we should still be able to kind of scramble and get back in with another air dash. Obviously, we could do something like just jump away, and then if we see that they didn't commit to anything, we could air dash back. All of his options after a block super dash are generally just really, really nice. He can counter here if he wants to cheese someone out. You just won't be able to convert it very well because you have already used your super dash at this point, right? And if you're worried about them not mashing, then you could use an assist at the same time as the counter. Although realistically, if you had an assist available, you probably just did super dash plus assist to get in. If you can get them to block a JM after your super dash, then you can air dash in for more overheads, or you can go low, or obviously anything else you'd ever want to do there. But just imagine having your jab after a block super dash get whiff punished like this. Wow. Oh, another thing I want to talk about, by the way, this video is super unstructured. I'm all over the place. I'm just trying to cover as much of the stuff that I labbed and thought about as for how this character has to work on offense, for mix-up, for defense, for neutral. So we're a little bit unstructured here, a little bit all over the place, but just bear with me. Another thing about this Ki Blast though, if you do it, it is pretty negative, right? And in the air, you don't have very good cancel options. So an anti-air is going to beat you with pretty much any cancel option you do. If you don't do anything at all, you'll get punished by most anti-airs in time. And most of your cancel options are all like possible to get punished by an anti-air. So something like his Lariat might escape and might make it whiff, and maybe you'll be at advantage, I don't know. His flip can definitely be anti-aired. And really the only option you have to save yourself is to like scramble with a counter. However, the opponent does have to kind of react to the situation really quickly to anti-air in time, which means you could cancel into EX flip and just get your turn started again. So he potentially has a same side option that can turn into plus frames. Just like how a cross-up is, you know, realistically going to be plus frames, because if they block the JM, it's your turn. But if you're fighting against Gogeta and you really don't want him to get away with this, just be ready to anti-air if you ever call out the same side option, and then you're good to go. All right, let's talk about his Oki really quick. Let's talk about his knockdowns. Remember how earlier I said that if someone blocks a jump medium, the situation is really good for him? Because obviously, like every other character, if you block jump medium, you're plus. You can go for Dragon Rush, you could go for 6M into assist, you could obviously go for another air dash, whatever, frame trap. In his case, he gets like more overhead options than other characters do, in addition to just going for a medium low. And this is really, really nice, but there's other really good things about this. What if someone reflects on wake up? What happens to the jump medium then? So we're gonna simulate this really quick by just using an assist and then jumping on them with jump medium, just because I'm too lazy to go through the whole combo every time. But if they block a jump medium, you can air dash towards them again, which means you can kind of keep your turn even if they reflect you away. You have a reflect-proof multiple overhead option, essentially. Also, remember how I said earlier that you can basically set up a universal fuzzy with this, meaning they're locked into standing after they block the first hit, so the instant air dash LL will hit them standing even if they're trying to block low. The same thing kind of happens if you get reflected, where when you reflect, your character stands up for another frame or two. And if you do this fast enough, you can make them have to block the JL here. So if they're down backing or trying to jump after the reflect, they will actually just get hit. This is really, really good. So how do we get them to block a jump medium? So pretty much as long as you can end on level 3 or swap to his level 3, then you can do this kind of thing. Just hold up forward, you'll get a safe jump with JM, and then you can do whatever you want. You can go for more overheads, you could go for empty low, you could just fake out and go for Dragon Rush, whatever you want to do. And this is why I think his level 3 Oki is actually pretty good. By the way, his low option is also reflect proof as well. So let's set the opponent to reflect here, and let's just kind of like take a look at what happens. Normally the medium doesn't reach afterwards, so if we get reflected away, it doesn't reach. But if you do jump M, jump L, for some reason, you don't get pushed back as far. I actually don't know the exact reason. This is pretty much universal for a lot of characters. If you cancel your jump in into like a light attack, for whatever reason, you don't get reflected as far away. So this means you can do jump M with a jump L and then go for low M, and it'll stay in even if you get reflected. So let's see that right now. And it reaches, which is really, really nice. Again, I'm not exactly sure why this works. So you have a reflect proof overhead and low option, which is just super, super nice. In order to get around this, people are gonna have to like reflect twice, or they're gonna have to do something like reflect hard tag. But yeah, something like reflect hard tag will beat this, thank God. It's not perfect. But I will point out that if you want to go this route with level 3 Oki, it means that you are giving up all the levels you've gained. Your level 3 will do a little bit more damage if you are at a higher level. We're talking about the regular level 3, by the way, not the charged level 3. So in this hypothetical scenario, maybe you're playing a different character and you want to swap to Gogeta for his level 3. And then you could go for your good Oki, your safe jump, whatever you want to do. Also keep in mind, if you're canceling your jump medium into like an air dash or something, you're probably not actually safe jumping at that point because you're not holding back. You're now like air dashing as the JM is happening. So if someone does reversal, it could potentially hit you. As for basic Oki, I think as long as you end in his quarter circle back light, this is his consistent sliding knockdown he gets from everything. Just hold up and then hit H, and this will safe jump most things. It'll cover up tech and down tech. Pretty much anyone on the screen, just hold up, fall with H. It'll beat mashing, it'll beat anti-air. We can show if someone tries to anti-air us on their wake up. We can hit them. And if we can get them to start respecting us, then of course, instead of the jump H, we could then fall with a jump medium and get some better Oki. And from here, we could go for like an extra overhead or a low or whatever we want. So I promised we'd talk about his level up mechanic a little bit in this video. Let me go into our character specific settings, turn this off. So we're back at level 0, we're leveling up level 2, level 3, level 4. This mechanic is interesting. I don't think it's going to come into play into literally every match. The mechanic of leveling up will probably come into play almost every match with him, but the actual level 7 won't. Obviously, if Gogeta dies, it won't come into play, but there's a lot of other little things that matter that will make it so you probably won't always use the level 7, even if you have it stocked. Let's say Gogeta was your point character. Now you're playing your mid character. The opponent's at a health where maybe you'll kill them in one more hit, but you need 2 supers to do it. Maybe you need to use Gogeta's supers to do it. Do you just not cancel into him so you can keep level 7 stocked up? Like, no, you're gonna cancel into Gogeta. You're gonna use his super. You're gonna kill their character because that's what's most important. At least if you care about winning, that's what you're gonna do. But when you swap to Gogeta's supers, now he's back at level 0. There are gonna be times where you have to give up the level 7 just because you need to kill the opponent's character, and that's more important than having level 7 stocked up. You could choose to be greedy and just not kill them and hope you can kill them in the next hit without having to use Gogeta's supers, and that way you can have him stocked up. But as I mentioned, I think that's a very greedy decision, and it's probably gonna put you in a position that you're not gonna be happy with once in a while. It is a lot like Ginyu's body swap super, where you can force it to happen, but it's not always the right thing to do, right? It's like if the opponent's health is really, really low and you're Ginyu, and you could body swap and steal their character, why would you do that when you can just kill them? Like, you could just finish the combo. Why did you body swap? It's just a power play. It's just something that's cool to do but it's not in that situation the right thing to do, if that makes sense. I would rather kill their character and hope I could use it later on. But in Gogeta's case, he doesn't always have that option, just because if you used his supers in order to kill someone, then you aren't going to be able to use that level 7 unless you get all the way up there again. But with that said, the level 7 is such a big risk for the opponent that they're going to want to stop you from leveling up. And in neutral, you're going to be able to get away with doing this a lot. It's pretty quick. It's only 32 total frames. I don't think this lasts long enough for the opponent to consistently actually like whiff punish it on reaction. I just don't think they're going to do that. Maybe in some situations, but not very often. And the thing that's good about this is it's going to force the opponent to want to take a risk and get in on you, because they don't want you to just be able to do this. They're going to try and lock you down. You're going to try and get over there, approach your space to stop you from doing this by hitting you. And as I said, if they get into Gogeta space, his options are really good. His Ki Blast is really good. His buttons are really, really good. Super Dash converts for a lot of damage. I don't know if we've really talked about that, but even just using Super Dash is going to be around 3,500 damage with this character most of the time. So you can see why this move is good to use. Even if you never, ever use the level 7, the threat of it is going to make people want to approach you. And he's really good at stopping people who want to approach him. He's a really good wall. His normals are good. His anti-air is great. He's got a counter so he can stop Super Dash on the air or in the ground, right? And he converts that counter, which is really, really nice. And if he gets a safe jump, then he gets air actions afterwards too. The one super I haven't talked about yet is his level 1, by the way. So his level 1 is really nice just because it tracks where the opponent is pretty much all the time. It is very, very hard to make this move with. It's very, very hard to make this move not connect. And the knockdown's actually pretty good. It is a sliding knockdown, so they can't do soft knockdown stuff where maybe they tech forward and get away from you that way. And there's a lot of situations where you want to extend a combo, but you can no longer get a traditional sliding knockdown anymore. So the level 1 helps solve that problem. So let's say you get your anti-air, and you extend by knocking them into an assist. And you extend a little more, and you want to get a slide knockdown, but you've already used your slide knockdown, so you don't have it. So what you can do in this case is you can just end in your level 1, which is really, really nice. Level 1, it'll do more damage if you're leveled up, obviously. This does take away your level 7, which is the problem. And then you can just safe jump with an instant air dash medium, and it's that easy. You might have to do something unique if you want to cover like up tech backdash. I don't know for sure if this will catch that. Let's actually test that right now. Let's see if instant air dash M catches this. If it doesn't, then we'll have to do something like instant air dash L. Oh wow, it actually does catch up tech backdash. That's really good. That's really good. Maybe a smaller character it wouldn't catch. Maybe we could test this with GT Goku as well. But I think my point being that his level 1 is really easy to use, and it's pretty good Oki. One more thing we didn't talk about was how his EX flip, we've talked about it from the sense of using it in neutral to kind of get in, kind of like how adult Gohan might use EX legs, but we haven't talked about using it on offense, right? So this is plus on block. The medium and the EX flips are going to be plus. The medium one is really slow, 30 frames, and the EX one is 24 frames. These are both going to be +2. Let's have them not backdash anymore. So this is kind of just a way of resetting your turn. It's also an overhead, so if it really catches someone sleeping, maybe at a point where they're expecting Dragon Rush after a jab, you could do this. It's the same speed as a universal overhead, except it's plus on block instead of neutral. The knockdown on its own is generally really good, so you can just like safe jump and then go for more stuff. Or you can just confirm it into his level 3 and get some good Oki that way. Pretty good damage, one hit into level 3 as well. I know this video was pretty unstructured and all over the place, but I do hope this was able to help you in whatever it is you want to learn about this character, whether you're trying to fight against him a little bit better, whether you're just lost with what to do on neutral, lost with what to do on pressure, how you should really be using the level up. Personally, for me, I think it's best to use it in neutral as a way of kind of encouraging the opponent to take a risk or incentivizing them to take a risk, because they'll be thinking, I could have hit him when he used that level up right there. I could have punished this. I could have hit him if I was super dashing, or if I was throwing a projectile, or if I just ran up and hit a button. So if you think about it that way, it's like, okay, well, if I use the level up, they're incentivized to approach, they're incentivized to super dash. Now I'm gonna look to snipe that out. Neutral, again, we're trying to get into the space where he kind of wins, where all of his buttons are generally just better than most other characters. If you're having trouble getting to that point against maybe projectile heavy matchups, I would probably pair him with assists that are really good in neutral. Like, I really like Nappa's assist because it is a projectile and it's really easy to use and it's really easy to convert. I like Android 21's assist for a pretty similar reason. I would personally pick assists that cover his weaknesses, and his biggest weakness to me is that he doesn't have good projectiles. This video is all over the place. If you made it this far, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be covering more Gogeta stuff and generally just more Dragon Ball Fighters and other fighting games on the channel moving forward. So subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be back with more soon. Thanks for watching.